Well done! You found one of the cannons. We've marked the location and we'll send down the ROV to check it out further. Hold on.
With the help of an ROV, an underwater robot, Richard Lundgren's dive team locates some guns of exceptional size lying next to the hull. Amazingly, this large bronze gun is absolutely intact after centuries at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. At this great depth, there is no growth, and they can see an old-fashioned inscription with Roman numbers. This definitely puts the unknown wreck in the right period.
That's great. It's exactly this kind of evidence we need to find to determine if this is the real Mars or not.
Since artillery played such an important part in this historic battle, the scientists want a closer look at them. It's time to salvage a couple of these remarkably well-preserved guns. There are more than 100 to choose from. But to study how realistic King Erik's new tactics were, it is necessary to look closely at the really large guns. This huge bronze cannon must weigh about 2 tons, coming from the lowest gun deck. The ship's crane is only certified to lift 1 ton, so in the end, the decision is made to lift one of the large guns that is broken in half. After 450 years on the bottom of the sea, King Erik's gun sees daylight again. So we return to the question, could a gun like this really sink a ship? A hotly disputed issue among historians, which will now be settled by some novel experimental archaeology. We're going to follow an experiment which starts with casting a replica of a period bronze cannon.
For me, the most important questions as a researcher are, what's the gun's performance? We want to measure when we fire it not just how far the ball goes and how close to the target it hits. We also want to look at how much noise does it make? What kind of pressure does it create? How heavy is it? How hard is it to move or to aim? How quickly can you load it and aim it? And then to look at the effect it has at the other end. I mean, how much damage does a gun like this do?
To make the experiment realistic, carpenters are busy building a full-scale replica of a ship's side. Oak was the traditional material for the hull on wooden warships because of its strength and resilience against the forces of the sea, but also to protect the ship against enemy fire. The gun replica is mounted on a carriage similar to those that were on the gun decks of a large sailing ship. The ship's side is placed at various distances, from 50 to over 100 meters. All of this takes place on a real artillery range for testing modern weapons. High-speed cameras are mounted to record the impact of the gunshots on the oak timbers.
Yeah.
There is no information about whether the guns on Mars were tested in any way before they were put in action. But it turns out that King Erik's assumption is correct. You can sink a ship, even with a single gunshot, if it hits near the waterline.
What we have here is we've got a weapon that will make a hole in a ship. We can demonstrate that. His philosophy, he was ahead of his time in that regard, in that he saw, or the ships that he built were pointing towards a future that was still 50 years away,